everybody, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Lysha and I am the owner of Lysha Be Creative. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how I put together this super cute, sparkly and glittery type shaker bottle that I was able to throw together. I thought this was kind of like the perfect way to kick off the new year, as I know a lot of us end up putting sort of eating healthy or exercising more as our resolution for the year. So I wanted to also tell you that I'm going to be featuring and showing glitters from Mayra over at Mayra Makes It. This is her Baddiee box, her Pandaria box, and so I'm going to unbox these and show you exactly what they all look like, and then I'm going to be using these as sort of the main base of the glitters on my tumbler. So of course everything I use will be listed and linked down in the description box down below. You can of course find discount codes for many of the products that I use today, as well as alternatives in case there are products that are not currently in stock. But let's go ahead and get started on today's tutorial. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So of course I had to start by showing you this beautiful set of glitters from Miss Mayra over at Mayra Makes It. She just launched her glitter and this was her first set of glitter. So it comes in 4 glitters. That was Geni, which is absolutely gorgeous, named after her husband. This is Luna, another kind of like white with a pink green shift. Marlena, which is a light pink one. Oh my god, so many different cuts of glitter in that one. And finally, Baddiee, my favorite, with the hot pink. Gotta love the pink in this, absolutely gorgeous. So these are the glitters I'm going to be using for most of the glittering of this cup. So I'm going to start of course with prepping this tumbler. This is a shaker bottle that I got from the Craft Haven forever ago. Like this was part of like the first set of tumblers I ever purchased, and I never used all of them. So I have a few of these left, and I just thought it was like the perfect opportunity to create a cute shaker bottle, because of course one of my goals and resolutions is to be a little bit healthier, drink a little bit more water, do some sort of, more exercising, and really just, taking the time to really care for myself. And so I thought it would be super cute to put together this little shaker bottle. So I've just, of course, sanded rather to scuff up the surface. I'm going to clean this off with some 91% rubbing alcohol. You see that I did also prep the top as well, because we are going to be decorating the top and obviously giving that a little bit of sparkle as well. So I'm just going to get this all cleaned up. And then I'm going to go ahead and take this outside to spray paint. So before I spray paint though, I do want to cover up the threads on this shaker bottle, because I want to make sure that I don't get any spray paint on that portion of the cup, since that will not have the glitter on it, because obviously those threads is what the top connects to. So I want to kind of tape those off now to prevent anything from getting on that and keeping that area super clean in between glittering, painting, and of course epoxying. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up just taping off that right there, and then I'm going to take this to spray paint. So I'm going to spray paint this with a few colors. I'm going to be using Color Shot colors, but I'm going to base paint that first white, and then I'm going to go ahead and use these 4 colors. It's like a coral, I got a light blue, I have Farmer's Daughter pink, and then Aromatherapy purple, and we're going to get this spray painted. So I am going to apply my glitter using the epoxy method, and so I just mixed up just a little bit of epoxy. I have some KS Resin Liquidy Split that I mixed up about 5 mLs. I'm not going to use the whole entire 5 mLs, just enough to really get a nice thin coat on this cup here. I do also want to make sure that I'm getting that little bit of edge right at the top by my tape line, so that I can get some glitter on that section as well. So I'm just going to take my gloved hand and really just spread that out. The trick here when you're doing epoxy method to make your epoxy go on super smooth is to put your cup in front of like a space heater, or just make sure it's kind of warm, or that your epoxy is warm, and that'll just make it a little bit easier to be able to spread on that epoxy onto that surface. So now we're going to go ahead and of course get to glittering. So I'm going to be doing a few glitters here to kind of base first. So I'm going to start with Pink Hurricane, which is a glitter from Maestra Creations. It's like a translucent pink, and so I want to put that chunky like down right as the base of my pink color to kind of just establish a little bit of a base. I'm not going to do it with all the colors, but I am going to do it with a few of the colors just to kind of give my cup a little bit more dimension so you can see all the different cuts of color. So then I'm going to go over the purple section with Unicorn Dreams from Maestra Creations, which is a chunky translucent color shifting white, which I love. It's one of my favorites to use when I want to put kind of a chunky white down underneath any sort of, you know, kind of glitter. I love this because it's translucent. You really could put it on any base and it's going to mimic the color that is on top of it. So we're going to go ahead and get started here, and we're going to start with Luna. So Luna is that more white that has that pink shift, and so we're going to put that kind of right over the coral color. So I know that I'm going to use Baddiee in my pink section there to kind of base paint that, but I decided to use Luna over this coral section because, again, it's translucent enough that it's going to pick up that coral color underneath. So I was a little bit nervous too about using these containers because they have such an open space for me to dump glitter, and I'm really good with using a shaker, but I was a little bit nervous you know, about using it out of the container because I do tend to make a mess. But I was actually really happy to find that I found it very easy to be able to kind of base paint this or to glitter this without literally making an entire mess of my surface. So now we're going to go ahead and go in with Marlena, excuse me. And so Marlena is that light pink color there, and I'm going over the blue. You're going to notice that I do kind of dump a little bit of the glitter kind of on the space, and then I go back in with my hand here, and this is really just going to help me to give myself a little bit of blend between the colors. There's just kind of a slight variation from all of these colors because I chose kind of different base colors. So I'm trying to kind of establish, you know, a really nice blend, even though the colors, because they're such light colors, aside from Baddiee, are very kind of similar as far as gradient or shades, I should say. But I wanted to make sure that you still couldn't see super harsh lines between each color shift as we work our way around the cup. So don't forget the bottom of the butt, of course. You need to make sure you get glitter all over that as well. And so after I'm finished with Marlena, we'll go ahead and get into the next colors. When I'm doing epoxy method or any kind of, you know, ombreing or coloring of multiple glitters, I always like to take my time, but I also want to make sure that I don't kind of overdo it on my first pass of glitter. There's always opportunity and time to add more glitter, but if I go too heavy-handed, I'm going to have a tough time really making sure to blend my colors into one another. So I'd rather go light at first and then kind of heavier as we get to the end and as the colors and all of the cup gets covered in glitter, rather than kind of, you know, making a mess and trying to blend everything after the fact. So that was just Baddiee there. And of course I went over that hot pink section there with that bright pink glitter. And so I'm loving how this looks so far. We still do have quite a bit of coverage we need to get with the glitter, since I do still have quite a bit of epoxy exposed. And so we're going to go in with the final color or the final glitter from Mayra's box. This is Geni. Geni is a beautiful, beautiful glitter. I absolutely love just the way that this glitter shifts and shines no matter how you're looking at the cup. So we're going to put that right over that purple section there. And I just thought that this was perfect. It really did bring out the lightness of the purple underneath it. And I just really love how Geni really does like blend into the paint, but also give its own beautiful sparkle and shine and shimmer that I'm just in love with. So I'm going to take my fingers and just kind of sprinkle and make sure I'm starting to blend into the colors that are on either side of that purple section there. Just again, trying to get this fully colored and glittered, I should say, but making sure that I have full coverage over all sections of epoxy that are on my cup. So now to kind of finally tie everything up, I'm going to just tap off whatever excess glitter is on the cup. But as a final kind of piece or go through here, I am going to add one more color here. This is Girlfriend from Maestra Creations. This is a white custom mixed color. And what I love about this is this has really teeny tiny hearts in it too. And I just thought it would just be perfect to kind of do a full once over of Girlfriend here all the way around the cup. And that's going to make sure that I have all of my epoxy covered and that everything is good to go. So now that I've tapped off the excess glitter, I'm going to go ahead and take my gloved hand and I'm just going to smoosh down my glitter, keeping in mind that these are more chunky or different kind of cuts of glitter. So I want to make sure that I don't have a tough time with epoxying, and I'm going to take the time now to squish down this glitter before the epoxy has cured. Now that the pushing down and of my chunky glitter is done, I'm going to remove the tape, but we'll reapply it before we do our 2 coats of epoxy. Okay, so this is now the 3rd coat of epoxy. The first 2 coats of epoxy were simply just to make sure that I had a nice surface to work with and that I didn't have anything too rough or sticking up. I did take this off the turner for just a quick second to get this sort of sanded on the bottom rim there to make sure I don't have a rough surface while we go through this next coat of epoxy. In between my coats of epoxy for my first 2 coats, I do take the blue tape off after the 30 minutes of it spinning, and I do that each time, and so you do have to continually reapply that in order to go ahead and make sure that obviously your tape does not stick to the epoxy. So I'm using 4 colors here. I'm using Vervain, I'm using Girlfriend, I'm using Sunkissed Coral, and I'm using Ballerina, and I will list all these down in the description box. And I just used that and I mixed that into the bit of epoxy that I had left here, and so I'm doing kind of a Milky Way, but I'm doing a Milky Way with glitter. So I'm just putting different lines of color in opposite colors of what they would match. And so, like, you know, my purple would go in pink, my pink might go in blue, and my Sunkissed or my Sunkissed Coral is going to go in, the blue section, let's say. So after I'm done kind of just making those strings of color, I do have a full Milky Way tutorial on my channel, which I will link in the description box as well. I did go back and add a little bit of some white epoxy dye, and so I'm going to add just 3 thin lines of this white colorant, so this white epoxy dye in with a little bit of epoxy I had left. And now is when I'm going to take my heat gun here and just kind of blow out those white sections. I really want to pull out kind of the different cells that the heat gun can really produce and really just give this kind of almost a Milky Way look, but just kind of, you know, add a little bit of really different colorant to this to really have that pop out all those other glitters. Finally, because I can't just be done, I've torched this, but now I'm going to add as a final piece Unicorn Sneeze, which I did use under the base of one of the glitters we did in the glittering section. And I'm just going to go ahead with a few passes of Unicorn Sneeze, that translucent color. Just go ahead and line that down the white line section. So I did take my top, and what I did was I taped everything off, as you can see, and I took that outside and I decided to spray paint that with the same 4 colors I did for the base paint of the shaker bottle itself. So we're actually going to bling this because I can't have just the stainless steel. I feel like that would look too plain and boring, and because I like all things to sparkle and shine, why not add some really pretty rhinestones to this to make this match the rest of the cup. So I just removed the tape there, and I'm taking these translucent AB stones that I got from, I believe I got these from Crowned Crystals, I want to say. I'll list them down in the description box, and we're going to go ahead and bling this. So we're going to bling this a little bit differently than you guys have seen me do on my channel. I usually do the scatter method, which is my favorite, but because I have the same size stones, I only have 2 sizes, I should say. I had both 3mm and 5mm stones. I decided to use the bigger ones, the 5mm stones, as the honeycomb all the way around the larger portion of the rim here. And then on that top section, I'm going to use my 3mm stones to fill in that section in a honeycomb pattern around that inner circle there. So we're going to start with the 5mm stones, and I'm going to go around with this first line of glue. I'm using Crystal Glaze glue here, and we're going to go ahead and go around 1 pass. I'm going to let that line dry, and then I'll work on the top line. Once I'm done with that, the first line is now dry, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my line of glue down, and I'm going to place the stones right in between the 2 above it. So this is what honeycomb method is, right? So it looks just like a bee's honeycomb. It kind of, each piece fits almost like a puzzle right into these stones above it. And so this is how you complete the honeycomb method. So I do have a tutorial planned kind of later this year that's going to show you more in depth how to do the honeycomb pattern on a tumbler, but I thought this would be a kind of a good introduction to the honeycomb pattern in kind of small spurts here and kind of showing you how that works, but there will be a future tutorial that kind of explains this better. So I'm just going to take my time finishing off all of this here, getting all of the rhinestones applied to this and making sure that everything lines up nicely. Take your time with this and try and use a thin layer of glue. You don't want to use too much glue because then your stones kind of go sliding all over the place, and you want to make sure that those fit just like puzzle pieces, like I said, right in between the 2 stones above them. So I'm going to finish this off. This probably took me a total of about 30 minutes or so, mostly with waiting for that top row to dry before I could continue. But I was able to get about 4 rows of stones on this larger section of stainless steel in the honeycomb pattern, and I'm really happy to show you guys how the top ended up turning out. So here is what the top looks like after all of the rhinestones have been applied. I love how sparkly this is. I just feel like this goes so well with the rest of the aesthetic of the cup, and I can't wait to show it to you all together. So now we have the tumbler back here, and we're ready to add the decal. This is a decal that I created in Procreate. It will be available in my digital shop on Etsy. It says, "I don't sweat, I sparkle." I just thought it was a super cute kind of decal to go with the shaker bottle, since it's kind of exercise themed, of course. And so I just cut that out of some white vinyl, and I'm just going to put that along the side of the cup here, kind of in that vertical motion, if you will. So we're going to now retape the threads on the top here, because this is going to go back on the turner for its very final coat of epoxy just over the decal, so that I can do my final design work on the cup and then show you the final result. So I'm going to go ahead and get that coated with a final coat of epoxy of about 20 ml was all I needed for this size cup. And then we're going to take this right back off the turner and add some rhinestones to this. So this has been on my turner for just a couple days, letting it fully cure. And we're going to go ahead and use these little stones that I got from Amazon. It comes in like its own kit. You can use these, and typically most people use these to be able to like put rhinestones on their nails, but I'm using one of the smallest size stones in here, and these are like really tiny. I couldn't exactly tell you what size they are, but I will list the pack that I used down in the description box, because I've had these for quite a while and I've listed them before, but I will make sure to go ahead and list them. So what I'm doing here is I am taking my crystal glazed glue, and I've just outlined the S in the word sparkle, and I'm taking those crystal stones and I'm literally just putting them right on the edge of where I put that glue to kind of give it almost an offset to the word sparkle. So I just had this vision in my head to do this kind of after I created the decal, and I just couldn't go without adding some more rhinestones to the cup. And so this is obviously a speed session. I won't make you watch this, but I did use the same size stone for the complete outline of the word sparkle, and I just love how it turned out. So here's a final look at this shaker bottle. I love how this came out. It definitely makes me want to drink water more often, maybe have a protein shake or something in this. Cannot wait to use this. I hope that you guys enjoyed today's tutorial. If you did, give this video a huge thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!